Before we kick off, this is Cook. I see we have a new face here, Lena.
Hi, yes.
Hi, Lena. Tell us a little bit about you and welcome to this meeting of the Mayor's Council.
Thank you very much. I am an Oak Ridge resident and I am on the city's Disability Advisory Board.
Oh,
and
good.
we are very interested in kind of riding your coattails. You guys have a lot of good work and we want to, come alongside.
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Lena. Do you know if Marion's going to be joining us today?
Marion Wildgruber, I don't know.
This is Simmons. Lena put together the Disabilities Fair down at Oak Ridge last year, and that's where we met. And she did a fantastic job with a huge fair they had down there. So, Lena, glad to see you made it.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for your kind words about the fair.
You did a great job.
It wasn't me. It was a lot of people, but
Hey, take your accolades where you can get them. We're not bashful around here.
Has Knoxville ever had anything like that?
This is Cook. We have in the past, we have had accessibility events where we teach on the built environment, how to make it accessible and why in a lack of access doesn't work. We did that for a few years. We have in the past had huge job fairs. Now this body specifically is going to be 40 years old this year.
Wow.
ADA even was signed into federal law. The city of Knoxville had an advisory body to talk about disability issues. So we will have a large celebration, hopefully, of some sort. Don't know exactly what that would look like, but typically our local independent living center, disability resource center, does put on events. They do fairs for resources and information. Sometimes it's all on mental health. Sometimes it's all disability, where they have vendors and resources, information available for folks to come and get. Knoxville Area Employment Consortium does an annual event to celebrate National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Codi has these meetings, and then a lot of the members in their daily lives and work lives are also involved in various events and programs that benefit individuals with disabilities. So pretty busy body, if you will, even if you don't have an annual event per se.
Okay, got you. Well, I didn't mean to hijack the agenda. I'm here to listen and to learn. So
got you. We love that about you. Okay, Zubak, I'm going to shut up now and let you go.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Lowe.
Okay, can everybody hear me? I've been having computer issues this week. Great. So let's go ahead and call to order. It looks like 3:05. And then I guess, Miss Misha, we can go ahead and do roll call.
All right, perfect. Alexander?
Present.
Thank you. Barber? Brooks?
Present.
Thank you. Kane? Carter? Childress?
Here.
Thank you. Eldridge? Lowe?
Here.
Thank you. Maxwell?
Here.
Thank you. Matheson? Matheson, I see you on screen. Are you over there?
He just texted here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Mall?
Here.
Thank you. Robertson? Shimon Orr?
Here.
Thank you. Simmons?
Here.
Thank you. Spangler. Villanueva had reported she would be absent. Welch.
Here.
Thank you. And Ziegler.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. So we need to approve the December minutes. Who would like to make a motion to approve?
This is Simmons. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Simmons. And who would be able to second that, please?
This is Maul. I'll second the minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Kanya. So that makes them approved, right, Misha?
Yes.
In a minute, sorry. Okay, so it looks like we have a presenter today, Mr. Craig Kennedy with Open Doors Organization. He is the program coordinator.
Karen,
No,
I'm so sorry. It's Cook and I'm interrupting you. Per
that's
Robert,
fine. It's
per
been a great
Robert's
week.
rules, you have the motion and the second. Now you need to ask for the vote. All in favor and then any opposed. And if no opposed, you got it passed.
Okay, all in favor of approving the December minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Anyone opposed?
Now your motion has carried. Thank you,
Great.
Madam Chair. Sorry.
That's okay. This is only my second time leading a meeting, so we're good. Okay, so now we can go to Craig Kennedy. Miss Stephanie, we're good? All right, Mr. Kennedy, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you having me. This is really nice of you guys to include me in your group. I grew up in upstate New York, lived in Colorado, actually where I'm at right now. I still come back here for a couple months every year. But I grew up in upstate New York and lived in Colorado for a long time. Now I'm living in Northeast Tennessee. We lived in Coreyton for about 13 months while we were homesteading our land. We have some land up in the Clinch Valley, up in Idson, so just over the ridge from Rogersville. So that's my permanent home these days. So I'm happy to be a Tennessee resident. Everybody's been really nice, and it's a beautiful state. So thank you guys for having me. I am a 51-year-old white male. I'm bald. I'm wearing a green half zipper sweater, and I'm also a wheelchair user, which you can't see. I'll tell you just a very quick version of my story. I moved to Colorado when I was 23 years old to be a ski bum. And I had a great job waiting tables up on the mountain. At the end of my second season, I was skiing down with my backpack, which had my shoes and all my gear in it. And I had a slip up going very fast and landed on my backpack and broke 9 vertebrae in my thoracic. So T3 to T11. And I'd never broken even a single bone in my body before that. So I'm a T12 paraplegic, longtime wheelchair user going on 29 years this March, I believe it will be. So, and believe it or not, yes, like I said, I still come back to Colorado for a couple months a year, and I'm still skiing. I was out sit skiing this morning, having fun. So that's just a little bit about me. And if anybody has questions, I'm kind of an open book. You can ask me anything you want. Real difficult to offend. And I got into this business a long time ago. Started a business called Access Anything. My wife and I published a couple of adventure travel guides for people with disabilities. And then met Eric from Open Doors a long time ago. We both helped to start the Continental Airlines, now United Airlines Disability Advisory Board. So I've been involved in the industry for a very long time. And what I always like to make a point of telling people why I do what I do. And partially it's because I love to travel, but more importantly, it's because you can literally get anywhere in the world now in 24 hours. And I truly believe that everybody should have that opportunity, no matter what your ability level. So that's a little bit about me. Open Doors organization was founded by a guy named Eric Lipp back in 2001. And I believe Brian at the airport has actually met Eric a couple times, saw him speak a long time ago. But Eric has a rare disease called von Hippel-Lindau, affects like 1 in 36,000 people worldwide. And they had to remove a tumor from his T4 level on his 30th birthday, and he woke up partially paralyzed because they had to cut into his spinal cord to get it all out. The short version is he started traveling again for work. He was in the computer industry and had some really bad experiences, needless to say, and decided he needed to change industries, started the nonprofit in 2001. And our mission is to make goods and services more accessible to people with disabilities in travel and tourism. So maybe a little bit about what we do. We do a ton of customer service training. We have been working with Amtrak since 2011. That year, I believe we trained 7,000 people in about 11 months, ADA disability training. And we're currently working with them again since 2018. About 40% of our business is in aviation. So we work with about 60 air carriers worldwide, worked in probably 30 or 40 airports worldwide, and we train disability experts for the airport, ADA. We also train CROs, which are the disability experts for the airline under the DOT regulations. We also, for those of you guys I see sitting here in power chairs, we also train the below the wing guys for a lot of airlines. We teach them the importance of the mobility device, why you should be careful with it. This is not equipment. These are people's arms and legs, right? So we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Aviation's easily 40% of our business. But we also do speaking at aviation and transportation conferences. We do airport design and accessibility. I want to say, in fact, I think we have a contract with the airport in Memphis right now to help them design their terminal. We're doing the same in Chicago for their new terminal. So we kind of have our fingers in everything. But the one thing I do want to mention that we're most proud of is our market studies. We've kind of slowly changing the way the world looks at people with disabilities by saying, hey, you know what? People with disabilities, we're also a market segment. Why aren't you advertising to us, right? We're the largest minority in the world. We have money to spend. Nobody sees it like that. So our first study was a Harris poll back in 2002. And the stats I want to tell you are that I think we found out back then 58 million Americans with disabilities took 21 million trips a year and spent $16.7 billion a year on travel. And people started to listen, right? The New York Times picked it up. The Wall Street Journal picked it up. My boss became famous because nobody had ever given us a chance to be a market segment. And now the attitudes are shifting to where if you become more accessible, it's not just because it's the law and it's the right thing to do, but if you become more accessible, you can actually make more money. So we're really proud of that fact. And hopefully in the future here, we'll see a lot more people with disabilities in advertising and mainstream media, because that's a big part of it. We also work with cruise ships, motor coach. We do training for Uber and Lyft. Like I said, we've kind of got our little fingers in a little bit of everything. And, more than anything, I wanted to present to you guys that, this is a resource in state. I'm living in Tennessee now. And I want to help out as much as I can. So just to let you guys know, you have a good resource in state. If you need anything, I'm here to help.
Thank you so much, Craig. Does anybody have any questions for him?
This is Simmons. I do. Yeah, Craig, I was a stewardess for Northwest Airlines for 23 years.
Northwest, there's an old name.
I watched those bag smashers tear up bowling balls and Samsonite luggage. I'm a power wheelchair user now, and I'm like, oh, hell no. I retired when Delta bought Northwest. So I can fly anywhere in the world for nothing, and I'm scared to death to get my crap and put it on any airplanes.
Yeah, you and most people I know in power chairs. And that's one of the biggest problems in the industry. The biggest problem is that airplanes weren't made to carry power wheelchairs, and power wheelchairs were not made to go in airplanes, right? What do they tell you when you leave with your brand new wheelchair? Do not use this outside, I think it says, right? For indoor use only or something like that. So I don't blame you. We're trying to make a difference. We hope in the future there's going to be some new rules coming down, and maybe even airlines are going to start tying down chairs, because even if you pack the chair in there perfectly and neatly with luggage around it, when you take off and land, everything moves. Everything hits the ceiling. So that's the biggest issue right now, is a lot of light on it. And I'm doing my best to help you, Joel. Maybe you'll fly again someday.
I do appreciate the effort, my man.
Any other questions?
This is Cook. So if a person were going to go traveling and they had little to no airline travel experience as a person with a disability, Open Doors organization would be the group that one could call and say, talk me through this, calm my fears, talk me out of it, you know,
I would never talk you out
whatnot.
of traveling.
I know you wouldn't try to talk somebody out of it, but you never know what a caller would ask for. Is that the kind of thing you guys also do, or do you primarily work with companies?
It's not something we advertise, but absolutely we do it. I'm happy to give you guys my personal phone number if you need anything ever. You know, that's what we do. And I want people to be able to travel, and I want it to be easier and a lot more seamless and a lot more dignified. So you guys can call me anytime if you have questions about travel, or you have a friend who's going to travel and they're nervous. I'm happy to help out always.
This is Welch. I have a question. I know a majority of your business is with aviation, but do you ever work in the hotel hospitality realm when people, since that's a part of travel?
Absolutely, we do. We haven't worked with any large hotel chains. Honestly, the pushback that we're seeing constantly over the last 20 years from hotels, I approached a couple of major hotel chains years ago and said, hey, wouldn't you guys like to be able to advertise that you're the most accessible hotel chain in the world? And people are so afraid of making mistakes and doing it wrong. Nobody really wanted to take ownership of that, to be honest with you. You know, some hotels like Microtel and some other things have taken some good steps. I'm a Hilton guy. I stay at a lot of Hiltons. Access is pretty good. We don't work with a lot of them, but we have certainly done some of that in the past.
Okay, great. That's a good, we've discussed that in our group quite often, that there's some barriers there. So that was a good question that I wanted to ask.
Yeah, the biggest barrier is usually the showers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a brand new hotel and a brand new bathroom, and maybe it's a tub setup, maybe it's a roll-in shower setup, and they've got a beautiful bench that folds down from the wall. And once you get onto the bench, you can't reach the controls.
Right.
That's my biggest pet peeve about hotels.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
This is Simmons. Yeah, they're real proud of the engineers down at the asylum when they look at something like that.
I like the way you talk, Joel.
I believe Shimon Orr has a question.
Okay.
And this is Monica. Yeah, it's not really a question, but I just wanted to comment based on my experience a little bit on the airplane. But I would say at least 5 times that I was walking out of the airplane and I've seen someone standing, you know, with a wheelchair ready for me. And, you know, I look at that person and I'm like, you know, I'm looking down, I'm walking, I can walk. So I don't know why I need a wheelchair, you know, I'm deaf. So they need to be more educated.
Yeah, and I will tell you exactly why that happens. It is because when somebody puts a meet and assist into the system, if maybe the right SSR code isn't in there for exactly what you need, they assign somebody to escort you to the gate. And that person is probably just got done dropping somebody else in the wheelchair. So when they come to see you, they still have the wheelchair in hand and they're responsible for that wheelchair. If they lose it, you know, they check that wheelchair out when they take it. So they're responsible for it. So sometimes there's a little bit of a language barrier, but we are teaching them that you can't force people to sit in a wheelchair. This is all about independence. We don't ever want to take somebody's independence away from them. But that's the reason that it happens, because they've already got that chair. They're responsible for it. They're like, oh, well, you might as well sit here. They don't think like we do.
This is Childress. So just I've never been on a plane or anything like that. So what is the process, being in it, because I'm in a wheelchair as well. So what is the process for someone, like kind of getting on a plane and going and so on and so forth?
Are you in a manual chair or power chair?
Oh, well, I got both. I got a power chair at home, but out and about, I use a manual chair.
I would recommend traveling with your manual chair if you can. Yeah. Like I said, the power chairs just weren't made to be in airplanes. But the process that I go through when I fly, right now I'm not flying a lot because I'm in Colorado and this is the quiet time of year, but I'm on the road almost every week flying somewhere. The biggest thing you want to do is make sure you call the airline and give them all of the information they need about you. A lot of folks with disabilities will show up unannounced, which legally they can't require us to say, hey, we're coming, I have a disability. But the more information you give them, the better your travel will be. That would be my first piece of advice. And then know your rights. If you ever feel during your experience that your rights are being violated, you want to ask for a CRO, and that stands for Complaints Resolution Official. The other thing to understand is that once you get out of the airport and you're on the jetway heading towards that airplane, you're not covered under the ADA anymore. You're covered under the DOT regulations, which is their Code of Federal Regulations. And the big difference between the two laws, the ADA, you can take individual action against somebody. So if you go into the airport, bathroom is not accessible, you can sue the airport, make it accessible. Under the Air Carrier Access Act, that's a DOT decision. You can complain to the DOT, but you cannot bring individual action against an airline. Imagine what would happen if we allowed everybody to bring individual lawsuits against an airline. What would everybody do? Right, exactly that. So that's why, and that's the big difference between the two laws. So if you have an issue, ask for a CRO. They're the expert in the Air Carrier Access Act. Give them as much information as you can. And then when I get to the airport, you either check in at the counter if you're checking a bag, and they can actually assign an escort for you if you need help getting through the airport, through security. They will assign you somebody. If you don't need help, you check your bag, you go through security, and a lot of times you want to make sure you look for an expedited line, because oftentimes most airports have a separate line where people with disabilities can get through a little quicker, because the process can take a little longer. I'm a TSA pre-check guy, so I don't have to do the full body pat down. If you don't have TSA pre-check, you're going to have to, they get pretty invasive. They put their hands all over you, checking for stuff. They look under your chair, that kind of stuff. And then once you're through security and you get to the gate, make sure you check in with the gate agent and let them know that you need an aisle chair to board the plane. I don't know if you can walk or not at all. Some people can, but for me, what they do is I recommend getting there for pre-boarding. Get there early, get to the airport a couple hours early would be my suggestion. And then for pre-boarding, what you do is they will either take you down or you roll yourself down to the door of the plane. And then you transfer into a narrow, straight back, what we call an aisle chair, right? And the aisle chair has straps. They strap you in nice and tight, and they take you to your seat. If you need help transferring, they will do that. If not, you can transfer yourself. And then it's the same on the way out. You get to get on the plane first, which is nice because you can bring extra medical equipment and stuff. I put my wheelchair wheels in the overhead. The only thing I give them is the frame of my chair, because I've had my chair broken before. So seat cushions, anything that comes off or is easily breakable, I recommend taking into the cabin of the airplane with you. Legally, you're allowed to do that for no extra charge. So I haven't had any broken problems since I take my wheels and my seat cushion off, and then I just give them the frame. And then on the way out, unfortunately, you are going to be last off the plane. So I usually plan for that. I plan an extra half hour in my layovers just for that reason. So that's a little bit about the process. It seems complicated, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. The most important thing is giving them information and knowing that you have rights.
Very cool. I appreciate the information. That's something I want to do in the future. So I just kind of, since you're here, I figured I'd ask. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And guys, I'm going to put my phone number in the chat here. Do it right, 846-9859. That's my phone number. That's my cell phone. So if you're ever traveling, you have any problems or you need help, I've got connections at all the airlines. I know everybody. I can get you the help you need really quick. And if you can't get a hold of me, just ask for a CRO. These are the little things that most travelers with disabilities don't know. They don't know that they're not covered under the ADA. They don't know that they even have rights under the DOT regulations or what to ask for. We're actually slowly teaching frontline staff for the airlines. Like when somebody in a power chair comes up to your counter, you need to tell them, hey, did you know you can take breakable parts off of your chair and take them into the plane with you for no charge? Because people don't know that, but they're not offering that information. So we're starting to come in from the back end and travel or train the front line employees to teach the travelers with disabilities who don't travel frequently that they have rights and what those rights are.
Anybody else with questions for Mr. Kennedy? I don't see anyone. Thank you again, Craig, for coming. We really appreciate all this information. I personally haven't really traveled since COVID, but I used to travel internationally, and it was quite interesting, the different reactions you would get. But you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we'll go ahead and continue on. I believe we are at Member Advocacy and Information with Miss Aquila Maxwell. Miss Aquila, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. I have been having a lot of technical difficulties with my computer, so now I'm using my cell phone. So can everybody hear me? Okay, great. Okay. My subject matter I'm going to speak on is winter safety tips for people with disabilities. Winter weather brings with, safety hazards for people with disabilities. Inaccessible walkways and freezing temperatures are the most common obstacles. But there are other challenges that require careful planning and consideration. This article I'm speaking on is tips from people with disabilities that, that tried and, excuse me, guys, I'm trying to use my glasses too. These tips I'm speaking on is from people with disabilities, and they got their information through, trying these different tips. The first one is consider your wardrobe. Sub-zero temperatures, snow, blasting wind can lead to accidents, injuries, or illness. So when we're preparing for your winter wardrobe, make sure you're adding these pieces of daily rotations. Outerwear. Beth Finkel, who is blind, suggests investing in a coat with a good hood on it. If you can't see well, then you need to be able to listen at intersections and other entities. Hoods are easier to flip on and off rather than hats. Also make sure that your coat is suitable for the winter conditions specific to your location. Footwear. Invest in snow boots with good tread and insulation to keep your feet warm and prevent yourself from slipping. Beth also recommends buying a good pair of cleats that you can attach to your boots. They may be a little cumbersome to take off, but it prevents slipping on ice. Gloves. Protect your hands with a good pair of gloves. Find warm gloves with thinner material at the fingertips. They're intended for people who like to text, but they're handy for those of us who cannot see well and need our sense of touch to find surfaces like keyholes, handles to the car doors, and the buckles for your service dog harness and so on. Number 2, think of your wheelchair like a car. These tips come from Phyllis Buchanan, who uses a power wheelchair. Phyllis says that she likes to think of her wheelchair like a car, especially in the winter season. This means making sure everything is tuned up, charged, and ready for the possible rough terrain ahead. Phyllis also just having an emergency kit just in case you become stuck in a hazardous condition. Some items to have on hand include a protein bar, water bottle, hand warmers, and kitty litter to use for traction. She adds that wheelchair users should also consider buying an all-weather poncho that is spacious enough to fit over you and your chair. These can usually be found at a camping supply store. Wheelchair users also may want to consider outfitting their wheelchairs with snow tires to prepare for the icy conditions. And they also have some information if you're seeking like financial assistance or grants to make sure your wheelchair is winter ready. You can, log into the Easter Seals website, and they also have tips for applying for grants. Item number 3, check your smoke alarms and CO2 detectors. It is very important to ensure your smoke alarm and carbon monoxide detectors have fresh batteries and are in working condition. You're more at risk for fires and carbon monoxide poisoning in the winter, so make sure you have a safety plan in place. If you're burning candles or have a fireplace, make sure those items are out before you go to bed. Number 4, in case of an emergency, have these plans in place. Some areas of the country may expect strong snowstorms, which can cause power outages. Be prepared for emergencies with these crucial tips. Have emergency contacts in place. Connect with others on social media to check in or to broadcast that you need help. Stock up on perishable foods. Make an emergency plan with your primary care physician to discuss prescription refills, treatments, oxygen, and anything else that may be impacted by a winter storm. Have a backup power source. Reach out to your utility companies to inquire about becoming listed as a life-sustaining equipment customer. I'm going to go back to, after I finish, I want to touch base back on that life-sustaining equipment customer for utility company. Number 5, make sure you make staying warm a priority. Erin, who has circulation problems in her feet, said to buy a hand warmer and stick them in your shoes. Make sure you have socks on, but don't put them directly on your skin. They're also meant for your hands as well. This helps so much, she says, and it can last up to 8 hours. They can also be costly, but Amazon, she says, has the best prices. Item number 6, make sure your dog is ready too. Service dogs need to be prepared for winter conditions to ensure their safety and comfort. Beth, who has a seeing eye dog named Whitney, advises others with dogs to avoid driveways, roads, and sidewalks where salt has been used to melt ice, as this is one of the biggest threats to a healthy paw pad. She shared that because she cannot see whether salt is present or not, she makes sure she puts paw wax like Musher's Secret on Whitney's paws before going on walks to form a protective barrier between the paw and the pavement. Beth emphasizes that paw wax should be reapplied before every walk. So that is all my tips that they located. But I want to speak a little bit on the, I thought that was interesting about the life-sustaining equipment and to contact your local utility company. So that got me into looking at ours, KUB. So when I was researching this, I seen that they had, KUB has a PDF, and it says about, the program is called KUB's Medical Priority Program. And so what I found interesting, I going to their website, I could not find this on their website at all. I had to actually Google, and then they had this like PDF about procedures, and it was a very little small area in it, and it discussed, about this program. You can sign up for it, and you will have first priority when there's an outage, and they may offer some assistance or something if your lights are about to get cut off or in some type of emergency bad weather or whatever. But it was really hard to find this, and I was like, why is that? This is a great program, and I don't understand why it's not accessible for people with disabilities. And that's all I have.
This is Cook. That's great information. And it's things that a lot of times people don't think about. And one of the things that I noticed with my chair rims, which drive me nuts, I wear the heavy coat, I wear the nice thick gloves, but my rims are metal. So when I get into my destination, my rims are still icy cold for quite some time. But it's just little things like that we don't think about. And we also need to be careful when we have limbs that are paralyzed, not to sit out in the cold too very long, just because we may not feel the knees or the ankles getting so cold. Our knees and our ankles know that they're getting cold. So we need to just be mindful and pay attention to stay warm and safe.
I agree.
Anybody else have any questions or comments for Ms. Maxwell? Okay, thank you, Ms. Aquila. You did a great job. Sorry, we are having technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry about that. Stephanie, do you know, I do have a quick question. Do you know, I'm sorry, this is Aquila Maxwell. Stephanie, do you know anybody that's on the KUB board? Because I'm really interested to find out more information about this medical priority program and why it's not like really out there. Do you know anything about that? Have you ever heard of that program?
This is Cook. Yes, I have heard about that program, and I heard about it as part of the SAFE team, securing accessibility for emergencies. It's phenomenal the way that KUB and the E911 system is coordinated. And if I'm not mistaken, KUB, even when we just get the occasional power outage and that you and your neighbors' houses have gone dark for a while, you can go on their website and they can show you a map. They know where the outages are, and they can usually give pretty regular updates as to how they feel the power is going to be coming back on and how quickly and that sort of thing. So yeah, let me get you some more information, and we can certainly share it with Codi. I think it's an amazing thing. One thing to keep in mind that makes this a downside is that sometimes people move, or sometimes the people who were maybe dependent on the ventilator or the refrigerator to keep medications in and that sort of thing, maybe they go live elsewhere or they pass on, and then they don't, nobody goes and reports that back. So trying to keep that information current is a little bit of a bear, but it is a great resource.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that information.
Okay. So we did not have any committee reports meet, right, Misha? No.
Correct.
So on Tuesday, I can't even say the word now. The other plan groups of livability and universal design. So livability did meet. We met on January 3rd. Ms. Conyamal, are you wanting to talk, or do you want me to talk since I am technically the secretary?
You can go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
Okay, we actually had a very short meeting. It lasted about 10 minutes. We did discuss that Jackson King did go ahead and do accessibility checklist, but unfortunately not all of the bolded items were met, and so they did not get a clean, and that was at the Stock and Barrel restaurant. And then Miss Lauren Ziegler reminded Misha that she is signed up to do one in January, and hopefully we'll get one done this month, because we were discussing that it's being cold and winter, it might not be the best time to try and do it, but if we can, we will. And then Miss Cardew shared with the group that she was wearing her fancy Codi shirt and got to spread some knowledge. So that was really exciting for everybody. And that was pretty much the livability meeting. So let's see, that is universal design. So that means it's Joel Simmons, right?
Yes. And see, unlike livability in their short meeting, me being the chair of universal design, I have the ability to cram 5 minutes of information into a 45-minute conversation. So I'm real proud of that. Basically, if you've been following universal design, the main thing we've really been focusing on, affordable and accessible housing, what we always talk about. But this time we actually did come up with something with this missing middle housing. Everybody had to hear something on that. We decided, well, let's just get some questions together, and I sent it out to all of Codi to get some questions and start going to a city council. Now, my question first with the city council meeting is, all right, we're going forward this missing middle housing. How are we going to incorporate affordable and accessible units into this as they move forward with the missing middle housing? Because affordable is bad enough and accessible is out the damn window, which you probably can't get to the window either. But I think if we can start being a fly in the ointment there, we're basically want to try to get information to where the city council and people look around, kind of like Mr. Kennedy was talking about. Hey, there's money to be made. Not everybody is. Some of the affordable might be, but anyway, if we can get some questions, we're thinking maybe come up with about 5 questions, and we'll just start showing up at these meetings. Number one, to let them know we're not going away. And number two, to get it on record. What exactly are you guys doing? Talk's cheap. It takes money to buy whiskey. So let's actually hear what your game plan is. So that's kind of where we are. We would appreciate if everybody would submit a question. If you can come up with one, you can't steal mine. And if you'll look, Misha has given us a bunch of good articles. There was a nice one on Harvard. It was we're although we led the nation with such pride with our 11% rent increase, we're not an outlier. This is something that's nationwide, really. So we'll just try to tend our little garden over here in Knoxville and go from there. Misha, am I leaving anything out? I think we've hit all we needed to on that, don't you?
I think you got the major parts, yeah.
Major's all we're looking for here. All right, then that's all we've got to say. Send those questions, kids. Looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you, Joel. And we'll all work on our questions, I'm sure. So let's see. Next up would be new business. And this looks like a Misha thing. So Misha, all you.
Thank you, Lo. This is Zubak. We do have Codi's 40th anniversary coming up. The last time we held a celebration event, we did raise funds for it, which we may be able to do again through sponsorship. However, there are several things that we're going to need to discuss. Those are when to hold the event, as well as a venue for it, the program, budgetary needs, as well as marketing of the event, and of course, gathering the sponsorships. So if anybody has any comments now, I'll go ahead and note those. Otherwise, we will dedicate a large portion of the half-day retreat to situating this. Cook, you look like you have something you want to say.
Well, I was looking around the boxes and trying to see if anyone here was on Codi when we had a previous, or that, maybe came. And the answer to that is no. But I can tell you that we had a Codi's 30th birthday celebration, and it was held at Cafe 4 here in downtown. And it was, I want to say it was an early evening, like 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. And we even have a book that one of the members put together for us to commemorate that particular occasion. So I love the idea of you all thinking about what would a 40th anniversary celebration of a body like Codi look like? I think you should toot your own horn a little bit about the impact that's been made on the city of Knoxville for the last 40 years. Certainly, you will never be able to cover all the great things, but maybe highlighting the top 10 or something would be great. And, things that we're doing now, working on, focusing on, things that are the goal of Codi to come, these kinds of things I hope that you'll be thinking about to share, because the event will certainly be an opportunity to bring together former, current, and hopefully future Codi members, but also elected officials like to attend, individuals maybe have never heard of this body, but they're curious, so they will like to show up. So thinking about things like that. And I want to say, don't quote me without digging up the original resolution that created this body, but I want to say that happened I think it was in October of that year. But I'm not married to any particular month. You do have July, which is the anniversary of the signing of the ADA. October is already a pretty big month for National Disability Employment Awareness Month activities. But these are the kinds of things that's important to start pondering. And sponsorships. We have a way to receive. Codi's not a nonprofit. It more falls under the governmental entity bit. But when we did this 10 years ago, the law department did some research and helped us come up with some language that we could put on the sponsorship form. So, if you would like to support this event, this opportunity, this celebration, fantastic. But know that means no special treatment, no favors, no expectations from you on the part of the city, because this is just a small little advisory committee to the city, and we're only funding the event, nothing else. So we don't have to go through those hurdles anymore. We have a lot of that already figured out. And if I can find the program somewhere, we can get that scanned in and sent out to you all so you can see it.
I have gathered the folder and had started looking through most of the materials in it, and we've got quite a bit of materials in there. I will make more progress on that and have something structured to hand out at the Codi retreat. My initial, as far as people to invite, are all past Codi members, as well as all guests we've had, whether they're near or far. And if they're far, then they're probably not going to attend, but the extension of that invitation, I think, would be nice, as well as local student disability groups. And of course, as Stephanie said, the elected officials. I believe that one of the biggest hurdles, other than, of course, sponsorships that we're going to have to cross, is coming up with a program that will engage all of the people that we're inviting. So if you can think specifically on ideas for that between now and the retreat, I would appreciate it so that we can start that discussion rolling.
This is Cook. Maybe one piece to the program is showing impact, discussing impact of a body dedicated for 40 years to helping the city look at important matters concerning the disability community and how necessary they are, and not to only engage them when you know you need to, but engage them on the regular. Hopefully one of the outcomes of an event such as that would show, again, some of the evolution of when there wasn't an advisory board nor a federal law, then we have these items and how things change. It can be really exciting and may even end up with a publication that can live on the website forever. And thank you, Lauren, for your offer to help with the disability student groups.
Thank you. All right. I think that's all that I had for the 40th anniversary at the moment.
Okay, so that would lead us on to announcements and public forum, which I know Zubak wants to talk about the retreat, but anybody else have any announcements before she jumps into that?
Ziegler here. I don't have an announcement, but at the end, I would like to just a minute or two to talk about some state legislation coming up that affects higher education and K through 12 significantly.
Ziegler, if you'd like to go ahead and do that now, you most definitely may.
Sure. So I just encourage everybody to take a look at two state bills that were just announced on the Tennessee floor in the last 2 weeks. I can send everybody those two things. Effectively, what they are doing is trying to strip protections for diversity and inclusion, both for anti-discrimination policies and for funding to state K through 12 institutions and higher education. So there's two that have been announced, and by the end of January, the state legislature will also announcing a ban on spending state funds on diversity and inclusion and higher education. So it will be pretty similar to the Texas law that took effect on January the 2nd of this year. So I encourage everybody to take a look at those and talk to your state representatives. While disability is protected under the ADA, of course, state funds are still used in K through 12 and higher education to provide training to both students and employees. And so if state funds cannot be used on diversity and inclusion, people like myself that do training on disabilities and other diversity matters actually will no longer have a job to be able to actually provide those trainings. So that's all.
Yes, yeah. Ziegler, this is Zubak. If you want to use the email that I sent out with the agenda and the minutes, I should have everyone's current email. Because after today, I'm off until the 22nd. Okay. If you can send that out to everybody, that would be wonderful. And then if you do want to do any update or discussion on that during the February retreat, let me know and I will put that specifically in part of the agenda for the day.
Okay, I can do that.
This is Cook. Thank you, Ziegler, for bringing this up. It's, we all live in information overload. At least I do. The phone's always blowing up with this is just breaking news and da 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 da. So we often can't keep up with everything out there. It's important to know what our state does because, even though the city doesn't have schools under our purview, Knox County does. And call them what you want, but diversity and inclusion programs to me are big with disability. Disability is one of the hugest bit that makes us all diverse from each other. So it's important, I feel, to stay on top of things like that. And I would encourage anybody and everybody who has an opinion about that, as Ziegler said, reach out to your representatives. You do not get to say, I'm a member of the Knoxville Mayor's Council on Disability Issues, and we believe that. No, that's not how this works. But as individuals who are interested in any topic that our government is trying to do or change or stop, you are always encouraged to speak up. And that's what we're here for. We are voters. We're a huge voting bloc. Largest minority in the country, as Craig was mentioning earlier. So definitely speak up. And to that end, I want to make you all aware of another state bill, SB 1595, where basically the state of Tennessee is trying to pass a law that prohibits emotional support animals from going into restaurants and other places of public accommodation. Folks, the ADA has covered that. This law, while I believe truly well intended, is simply going to further confuse the whole issue. and make individuals who have legitimate service animals more hesitant to go out, and it could just cause a lot of conflict. So yeah, again, whatever the state does is going to eventually trickle down to cities and counties. So if you can stay aware of that, or if we've got Codi members willing to make us aware, and then please act on your own conscience and your own moral code with what you can request support for or request don't support that. Just please don't do it as a member of Codi.
All right, this is Sue back. I'll go into the half day retreat now. It will be held from noon until 4 o'clock at the Chancellor YMCA, and it is on Valentine's Day, so February 14th. The Chancellor YMCA is across from the O'Connor Senior Center, and it will be in the community room. That address is 616 Jessamine Street, and although it is a half-day retreat, we will be providing light refreshments. However, it is by no means an entire lunch. So if you do need additional snacks, please feel free to bring those.
This is Mall Misha. Could you repeat one more time the name of the location and address, please?
It's Chancellor YMCA, and it is 616 Jessamine. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that in the chat.
This is Cook. If you guys are familiar with the original CAT station on Magnolia, if you can get there, you can get to the Chancellor Y because it's catty-cornered across the intersection behind the CAT, where the garage and everything is.
And this is Zubak. You all know me. I will send out this information again before we meet, and it will probably even have a link to a Google map in it. And if you have any questions, most of you know my cell phone, and so you can always give me a call that day, and I can try to help guide you in.
Okay, any other announcements before we adjourn? Miss Cook, you have something?
Sure. that this morning we convened a meeting of the Age Friendly Network Steering Committee and just brought everybody up to speed on where we have been the last couple of years. And I want you to know and be very proud of the majority of that conversation circled around the activities that Codi has been involved in. So this involves the universal design. This involves transportation, the livability community, the surveys that are going on. We really, really shared with that team all the work that you all have been doing. And whether or not you realized you've been pushing the needle on livable communities here in Knoxville. So it was a great, great meeting. As soon as we have some notes available, we'll share those with you guys. And of course, as that team meets and moves forward and updates the plan, Codi will also be made aware of that because you guys are an integral part in that implementation. So kudos to Codi. You all were being bragged on today, bigly.
Well, that's always good. I was sent a note by Misha to ask Miss Linda if she has anything to add to public forum. I'm guessing no. So can we go ahead and adjourn then? Yes, no, yes. It looks like I have exactly 4 o'clock today for our adjournment of this meeting. I hope I did okay leading the meeting unexpectedly.
Oh, you did wonderful.
A little more time to prepare. But we're all good. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Looking forward to seeing you next month at the half-day retreat.
This is Cook. Wear your red and pink. Valentine's.
I was going to wear my Codi shirt.
That's what I'm going to wear.
I'm going to actually wear it too now that I'm thinking about it, because in March, that's when we need to put our big group picture.
I thought we were doing our
blue.
big picture. We should all wear blue or a Cody shirt.
February. We'll do that
Yeah.
at the retreat.
Okay.
I will bring the remainder of the shirts that I have sitting in the box out there to the retreat for those that are there that have not picked them up.
Great. Okay.
So
Maybe we
this
can
is
put a little
Simmons.
rose in the corsage.
What?
Sorry, this is Eldridge. I said we can have like little corsages of roses to put in.
Oh, for our pig for Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
great.
Kind of a mix.
Okay, so Nick's on the red and white. We're wearing our blue Cody shirts to the retreat in February, correct?
Correct, Joel.
Okay.
And if you want to spice it up with a corsage, Maddie says that's be good, or Mr. Eldridge said that would be good. So I think we're
I'll just
actually
get the
done.
one you wear around your wrist.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, I have to go, so I'm adjourned. Have a good rest of the month, guys.
Thank you all.
Bye.
See you guys.